Hello my dear friends, welcome back to another Star Wars video. I'm back, and I'm so happy you're joining me for a very exciting Star Wars news update. It is I coming at you once again, your favourite galactic hostess Meg, and we have so much to talk about. So as we're coming up to the month of April, we have Star Wars Celebration and Andor Season 2. But a big question that's been making the rounds is, what are we going to get on May the 4th, if anything? May the 4th this year drops on the Sunday, the same week that we get the second batch of Andor episodes. On Tuesday, April 29th, Andor episodes 4, 5 and 6, and then the Sunday, May the 4th. We get something every single year. In 2020, the Clone Wars finale, 2021, the Bad Batch premiere, 2022, Book of Boba Fett Disney Gallery, 2023 was Visions Volume 2, and 2024, Tales of the Empire. Are they going to announce at Star Wars Celebration that we are getting another Tales of show that drops all on that day? Remember guys, Tales of the Jedi dropped on the same day as an Andor episode in 2022. Them dropping something this year is not out of the question. And on the subject of the release schedule, you guys know I don't think it's a good idea to drop 3 episodes a week for 4 weeks. It's a bit excessive, and I'm not just talking about from a content creator perspective, just general hype, letting the final season breathe. They could have gone for a 3-episode premiere like they did for season 1, but 3 episodes a week thereafter is very intense. And this kind of schedule doesn't allow the hype to spread. But I have got a theory. Maybe Andor Season 2 is not the final thing we're getting this year. Maybe there's an animated show or something else coming after it that they haven't yet announced. The question is, what's the hurry? Why do they want it just over and done with? The decision baffles me. But moving on to some of our juicier topics, we're going to talk about the return of Luke Skywalker in just a moment. But first, a brand new Star Wars video game has leaked. This is going to be announced at Star Wars Celebration. A Star Wars strategy game by Bitreactor and Respawn has been unveiled. The game is going to be spoken about in an official capacity for the very first time on April 19th. And some brand new gameplay stills and concept images have surfaced. This has been described as XCOM, set in a galaxy far, far away. And the images show us Bo-Katan, some Jedi, and some Imperial-era clones. While these images are just preliminary, there is a concern amongst Star Wars fans that it does look rather mobile game-ish and a bit amateur, but there is also hope the game can breathe new life into Star Wars gaming. The project is codenamed Star Wars Bruno, a very Disney-fied name. This is just the working title, and I guess this is the perfect place to insert a "we don't talk about Bruno" joke. This game was announced over 3 years ago, and little information has come out since. But today guys, we have some new details, and we know the game is going to be set after the Clone Wars. Strategy games aren't everyone's cuppa, but the graphics do look very interesting, incorporating elements inspired by the Clone Wars animated show. And I should just say guys, this might not be the final version. It's extremely common for stuff like this to drastically change in development. These might just be early concept photos. And the Clone Wars aesthetic continues with Mandalorians, clones, and Jedi, but this is set presumably after the Siege of Mandalore and after Order 66. Bo-Katan is leading a mission with Paz Vista against Imperial forces, against Imperial clones, so just after the war, probably adjacent to the Bad Batch. And take a look at this droid. This is the same model as Lola, Leia's droid from the Kenobi show. We don't know what this game is going to end up being called, but the codename is Star Wars Bruno. I think at this point Star Wars gamers just want Battlefront 3. But in other updates my dear friends, let's talk about Luke Skywalker. For the brand new season of The Force at Galaxy's Edge, Luke Skywalker and R2-D2 made their debut, and the fan reaction has been, let's say, very interesting. And listen, I don't think Galaxy's Edge should have ever been sequel trilogy exclusive. That was one of their worst decisions ever. Right from the word go, there should have been elements from the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy added in. Are they learning their lesson, or is it too little too late? During a time where Star Wars fans are pretty skeptical about new decisions made by Lucasfilm, while some have been very excited, others have been more critical of this move. But I think what needs to be said is when you think about the late 2010s, in the time period Galaxy's Edge was being planned, it opened in 2019, but when it was being planned, Lucasfilm was convinced Star Wars fans following The Force Awakens were really going to be on board with the brand new era. They went all out. And you know, following the 2000s, Lucasfilm didn't realize the prequel trilogy was going to see such a big resurgence. So they were trying to move away and return to Star Wars' roots. It's why The Force Awakens did more with practical effects. Some say it's just a rehash of A New Hope, which is why Batuu was originally going to be Tatooine. But like I say, They wanted to lean into the newer stuff to a greater extent. It's only now that they realize, no, you know what? Fans are generally not into the sequel trilogy and prefer episodes 1 to 6, which is also why, in addition to Luke from the original trilogy or post-episode 6, they're also giving us glimpses from the Skywalker saga that include episodes 1 to 3, but it's taken Lucasfilm a long time to realize this. So here is what was posted. A Jedi like his father before him, Luke Skywalker has arrived on Batuu, and this is how fans reacted. You destroyed the greatest cinematic hero, too little too late to fix him. And this is a very similar reaction after Mandalorian Season 2 and Book of Boba Fett. While in the moment those scenes were very exciting and fans were generally very chuffed to see the return of Luke post-episode 6, I think there is always this reminder at the back of our minds that it's all gonna lead to the sequel trilogy. And look, every day I see posts where people are saying they should decanonize the sequel trilogy, retcon that time period. Disney is never gonna do that. They're not gonna retcon 7, 8 and 9. They might do a lot of retconning in the books and the comics, but if you're expecting Luke Skywalker on Ahsoka to be retconned, they're never gonna do that. I think with the Galaxy's Edge stuff, it's a case of don't take it too seriously, just immerse yourself in the experience if you're going. I think that's the best way to enjoy this. I know there are some who'll say this is still a bittering experience reminding us of what happens to Luke, but to enjoy recent Star Wars you just have to set aside the things you don't like, and just focus on the stuff you do. This person says, only 7 years too late, good luck trying to revive Star Wars. I really don't think as a fandom we're going to move on from the Backlash from The Last Jedi. And then you have fans who say that the casting of this Luke at Galaxy's Edge is inaccurate. It's not as if you're going to get Mark Hamill himself at Disneyland. This guy's just doing his job. I do agree that maybe they should have done better with the wig, but the actors who play these characters, like we had Rey, Kylo, Sabine, they're just trying to capture the vibe. They're not meant to be one-for-one replicas. But sure, I guess you can say there are better lookalikes. This one made me chuckle. It says, Kathleen Kennedy fuming right now that OG Star Wars is being represented. We all know that Batuu was originally going to be Tatooine, or something else familiar at first. Nobody even knows what Batuu is. So here's my take on this. I'm no fan of Kathleen Kennedy as Lucasfilm president, but at the same time, people are acting as if she's not responsible for this. It perpetuates this false notion there's an internal civil war at Lucasfilm. For years you've heard these rumors of Kathleen Kennedy is fighting with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. That's not happening, guys. She would have approved this decision. I'm not a fan of Kathy, but we have to be realistic with this stuff. But I do agree they should have gone with more familiarity. When they were planning Galaxy's Edge, they wanted to explore this new era that they themselves built. But as time has proven, fans will always prefer the OGs. It's a smart move, and as I said the last time I covered this, is this a turning of the tide? Is this the beginning of bigger changes? The most invaluable litmus test is going to be Star Wars Celebration. What is going to be announced? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. Share your thoughts on everything we spoke about, and may the Force be with you, always.